at that point, then they decided they must build a new high school. And that's where Willis came about, 1932. They finally agreed to it. I ended up teaching at Willis from 1974 until 2005. Not only my family, but my father went to Willis, my grandfather went to Willis, and in fact my grandfather actually attended the old Delaware High School. Willis, before it was built, was Delaware High School. 2 fires had taken place. 1910, one of the biggest school fights, in fact, they said Delaware ever had was whether or not they were going to reopen Delaware High School after 1910, because it had entirely destroyed the inside of the building. Well, they did end up reopening it. There was much question as to whether or not the walls could still stand. And yet that was 1910. Well, it's still there. We're talking about those walls on the back side of what is today Willis School that face Winter Street. And still up above those doors it says high school. Then in I think it was 1928, when a fire burned off the back part of the Delaware High School. And at that point, then they decided they must build a new high school. And that's where Willis came about.
I've been working at Willis for 16 years. This is my first year working at this position. I love working here at Willis. Actually, I've never worked in any other school in the district. I love the kids, I love the teachers. What I'm going to miss most about Willis is, aside from having the kids come in, but the community and the camaraderie of the teachers. They have just gelled and they are so creative and just work together so well. Yeah, I will miss it. It's been a long time.
I've been a part of Willis for 13 years. I was first a teacher at Smith Elementary and then was hired as the assistant principal here at Willis for 3 years and then became the principal of Willis.
And how long have you been principal?
12 years. I think the most important thing for me is that the students who come here feel that they're a part of something special. The staff and students surprised me with a picture of them in front of Willis, just showing that true sense of family, that they were all here, that they're all in front of the building that we love, and that will be commemorative to me as to what the last few years have meant.
My favorite memory about Willis is when we were in the play area. Oh my gosh, I was going to say that! Oh my god, we're
The auditorium again goes back to the beginning of the school, and that will be kept for public use. In fact, one of the hopes for is Miss Beery, a longtime drama teacher at Willis, and she is hoping that that becomes sort of a showplace, that they, over the years, are going to refurbish that auditorium and have it as a good working stage and a nice looking auditorium back to its original, and that will be quite a place for the community to have. On that second floor, there are 3 classrooms in the center facing William Street. Well, I say 3 classrooms. I was in one of those classrooms my last few years, and what had happened was they had run out of space in the library. And so what they did was they also were running out of space in the old cafeteria. So they expanded the cafeteria by closing in. There was an open air courtyard for seniors to go to when you had a high school there. And in the spring and in the fall they could go out there and they could study out in this grassy, tree-lined courtyard. Well, eventually that was no longer used. It was no longer a high school. And it was closed off, and so finally they decided, let's close that in, expand the cafeteria, and then above it, close out those classrooms in the center and open up a large library in the middle of the building. And that's what they did. The original library were those rooms above those front steps, those 3 rooms. That was the library. The city schools has agreed to do this, making it one big library again. But instead of a library, they will have it as an alumni center.
So this is my first year teaching at Willis this past school year. It's still the same. I remember coming to Willis as a student and feeling really welcomed and excited to be there. And it was the exact same thing when I came in teaching. I felt that first thing when I first interviewed with Heidi. What was great about my team too was Mrs. Smith, Lori Smith. She was my 6th grade social studies teacher when I was at Willis. And so it was really cool to get to teach right next door to her and be on the same team with her as well.
The most students they ever had in that building back in 1961, they said there were well over 900 students in that school at the same time. And at that point, they felt they needed a new high school, because at that point there were 6 grades in that building. You had 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. We're all in the Willis School building, and all at the same time.
My name is Kelly Monty, or Mrs. Monty. I have been teaching for 7 years here at Willis, and I teach 5th and 6th grade art. It's never a dull moment. Art is very, my schedule is very compact, so it's back-to-back classes, so it's kind of a whirlwind, but it's never boring. It's always entertaining. My students are very creative, so it's always a good time. I really enjoy the last day of school because all the teachers stand on the front porch and we all wave goodbye and we dress up in crazy hats and blow whistles and we just look goofy, but it's a fun time for all of us to be together at the end.
I've been here 16 years. This is the only teaching job I've ever had. I started here the year it became a 5-6 building, and you know, the 5th grade teams were all taken from their elementaries and brought here. The 7th and 8th grade teams had been moved out of here. So the first few years were kind of rocky,
Yeah.
you know. A lot of people were upset, but we brought a lot of the elementary features with us. And I mean, our building is old. It rains on the inside. It's freezing cold or burning hot, you know. And so we had to make an environment that, despite our physical surroundings, we just really worked together and made a really great school and a really great family. And I think that we'll take some of that with us to our elementaries or, you know, to the 6th grade building.
I entered that building in 1960 in the fall, to that very setting where there were 6 grades in that building. That was sort of a scary setting for me. I was the smallest student in the entire school, and all these big people around, because you had seniors in there sharing the hallways with you. And so that was quite an experience of entering in there with those 6th grade, 6 different grade levels.
I think it's been close to 16 years or something like that. I mean, it was at the high school for a couple of years, but mostly it's been Willis. 5th grade's a great year for kids. You know, it's a transition year. They make decisions that year. This is where they make the choice of what kind of kids they want to be.
Coach Riddlebaugh, who was Mr. Riddlebaugh at the time, he was the gym teacher. He ended up being my volleyball coach when I came to Hayes. He was the first person that introduced me to the sport. I had never heard of volleyball before, and we played it in gym class, and he kind of encouraged me to try it when I went to Dempsey, and I did. It really is the first time that kind of shaped a major part of my life. So.
And it was great because, you know, at the elementary schools, they're going to be the top dog. But here, they had to come, and it kind of humbled them a little bit, and so that kind of gave them a reset. And it was a great time for the resets, 5th grade.
Yeah.
And so then, when we went from 5th grade to 6th grade, it was time once again for the 6th graders to start growing up a little bit and getting ready for Dempsey. Seeing kids come in, not size-wise, you know what I'm talking about, character-wise. See kids come in this way and leave that way. I mean, that's what I'm going to kind of miss the most about it.
This is my 16th. Yeah, 27 in Delaware City Schools, but 16 here. Willis has been in my family forever. My grandma was born in 1903 and she went to school here. My dad, every member of my dad's side of the family, my kids went here. So it's really been a part of my life forever. It was just really cool to come here and teach. Growing up and feeling already like it was, you know, another home, really.
I just finished my 7th year. Willis is always, whenever someone says, where did you go to school? And I'm just having conversations with people, and I say Delaware, for some reason, not Hayes, not the elementary school, Willis is, you know, that's the picture that I see in my head when I'm talking about Delaware City Schools. Okay, one of the most unique experiences for me was to be able to come back and teach in a building with some of the same teachers that I had growing up, and to go from, you know, having that adult-teacher relationship to actually becoming friends with those people.
That's true. And, I still can't call Mr. Carson Brent.
Yes.
That's wrong. Could you ever do that?
Right.
I can't.
Flip, Brent, Kathy Byrne, all those people nope. I had as teachers, and I was able to come back and work with them. So that was a really unique, awesome experience for me. The gym is a big deal to me. the athletic events here, with the structure and the way that the gym is, it was always so loud in there. And actually, I was a part of the very last wrestling match for when the 7th and 8th graders were still here, and it was Sam Flippo's 100th win as a coach, and it came down to the very last match, and that gym was rocking. And I mean, it's like you can't compare the noise that gym can produce. It was really cool.
And that old gym sort of is a classic old gym. He said it was the loudest place he had ever been in his life. He said the reason, it was a little box, echoes off the wall. Everybody is close in. The balcony, he said, was packed, and people stomping their feet in that balcony. And he said they called a timeout. He said that you could not hear a single thing the coach said in timeout. So the Willis Gym holds a lot of memories for the community.
I have been with the Delaware City Schools 22 years now.
Yeah.
And Willis all that time. I had like 5 years I was, then another nurse took over, but most of the time I've been in this building. So it's always been a fun building because it was the place where everyone came together in one spot. So I'd have all these elementary school kids and they would be moving on, and I'd say, oh, I'll see you next year. So it was that constant that I always got to take with the kids when they came. And it was particularly fun to watch them because they would be so nervous to come, and the parents would be scared about them coming. And within 2 days of school, they would say, I love it here. I think for the staff that have been here for a long time, it was sad to be separated also because there's family here. They're a little worried about where they're going. I'm used to change, they're not. So they'll find that they have friends quickly. So just like the kids, that'll be actually kind of cool. That our teachers will be going over there and they'll be feeling the same thing our sixth graders are.
And as sixth grade teachers, it'll be a little different too, because we're going to be at the bottom of the school now. It's kind of nice to know some of the kids already that you're going to have the next year, and to be able to collaborate with the 5th grade teachers so easily.
That's true.
So that's going to be different as well.
Oh, we have to adjust to that. I've never had that before.
Yeah.
That's a great point about that they had never had before. It's an opportunity. So.
Look at those.
Which one are you? On the
right
left?
here.
Well, I
No,
thought
that's
you
my
were
best
that
friend. She's the one that everybody always thought we were
so you look
sisters.
like her.
No, I'm not.
You're
No.
taller.
Not at all. I was
You're
so
tall.
tired. I think my legs were. I was a sprinter. You
Yeah.
can tell. Look at that. Hey, I was a cheerleader here. I was a cheerleader right there in that gym. We used to run it after school. We little cheerleaders run across the racks where Tim Hortons is.
Yeah.
And we would get whatever over there. I can't even remember now. And then we'd come back running over for the basketball. And the dances in the gym. Oh, I did spend quite a bit of time in the girls' locker room because a slow song came on and I didn't want to dance with any boys. So I did. I hid down there. I spent a good period of time down there. I think I was in 7th grade. Geez, that just came back.
This building used to, before the new HVAC system, was so hot. And these floors were very, very hot. And one day Steve was trying to demonstrate how hot it was, the surface heater. And so he put a chocolate bar on the floor of his counseling office and it melted. So that's a weird, quirky memory.
One night, well, there's a couple, but
Tell 'em both.
one night we were having parent-teacher conferences, and these tiles had bowed completely down, and it was literally raining inside this room, and I had buckets set up along here and towels, and we just went ahead with conferences, and the parents were like, oh, wow. So that was a good one. And then one day we were teaching, and there was this loud crash, and we looked out, and big sections of the building were falling off. And so I called the office and I said, we need Heidi to come back here. And they're like, well, she's busy right now. And I said, well, I think you need to interrupt her because a big section of the building just fell off. So it was a place above the 3rd floor window, and it just came loose and fell down. But it was a lot of noise and pretty scary at the time.
So Pork Chop was the name of little hamster.
Where was Pork Chop
And,
supposed to stay?
Pork Chop was in a very, very good cage that a child did not close properly. So yeah, I came I came in on Monday and was not greeted by the little scurrying sound that I normally hear, and that's when I discovered, yes, that Pork Chop was missing. And oh dear, that's been.
So then
The kids were crying. The kids were crying. Mrs. Kegley was crying a different kind of cry. And you know what? Our language arts teacher, though, took it as a chance. Oh, all the writing that transpired. We had so much fun with the Adventures of Pork Chop through Willis. And every year I would take the kids down to the dungeon for part of our scientific method. And we were looking for Pork Chop down there. We were looking for, oh, never found him.
No, Pork Chop was never found.
Porky's never found. So that's why there are rumors that maybe there's a 7-foot beast in this building. We don't know. But you know, Porky, I don't know. Living off the
No more animals.
Yeah, that was the end of the living creatures.
I was very sad. Very sad.
She was it was very emotional.
Camp Wilson's always a big one. I remember that. I remember going as a student. I remember going as a counselor. That's just Willis. When you think of Willis, you automatically think Camp Wilson. It was just a fun experience to kind of wrap up, the first half of your public education. 6th grade, it ends. We went in the spring back then. I don't know, for me it was just that nice wrap up of I'm ending 6th grade. I get to do it with the friends that I've chosen to surround me in my cabin, and a really fun, Hayes counselor.
I was over on the other side of the building right when 9/11, the day that 9/11 happened. The armory, the soldiers were leaving, and all Willis kids lined the street, and we were cheering. It was, I can't even explain how awesome of a day that was. And like a little parade, and our principal was Scott Best at the time, and he said, let's all go out front. We were cheering, and I'll never forget
awesome.
that. I'll never forget that.
It was awesome to see my kids on the last day, because I just remember looking at each one and saying, I can't wait to see you through Dempsey. I can't wait to see what you do through Hayes and where you go after that. This is kind of the first class that I'll get to see continue through and see where they grow.
They were very emotional. Every year there's always, a few tears, but I think they got it. They picked up on our, feelings, and after the assembly, we were just bombarded with kids, and then when we left school last night, it was tough. Yeah. We tried to stay really positive for them, you're gonna have a beautiful new building, and and they will be excited about that. Yeah. They'll enjoy that, and they're still gonna have all the 6th grade teachers, so that'll be good.
Well, there were a lot of tears.
Yeah.
Yes, usually with 6th grade, there's a lot of tears. I think there were more yesterday with teachers too. A lot of crying. But at the same time, they're really excited that we are going to Dempsey. Yeah. Usually 6th graders have a little bit of that fear, oh, we're going to miss you, because, former students always tell me this was the time of their life, the Willis time. And these kids are like, oh, we're going to come and visit you. So I think it was a little bit easier for them also.
But I think there were some families that, like the true Delaware families, that their families have been here. And I think you could see it with some of those kids. And even the parents, when they were picking them up, there was a lot of emotion yesterday. Yeah.
I think I definitely saw more tears than I've ever seen before. And I think part of that is the 5th graders knew they weren't going to be here for 6th grade. The connections and the bonds always happen through the years, but I think for them to know they were the last class, and as I shared that with them, that I am the very proud principal of the last full 5th and 6th grade class here at Willis, and the very proud principal of an amazing staff. I think it set the tone for us to all recognize what a special thing that we had here at Willis, and how we have to take that feeling with us wherever we are going, to whatever building we'll be at in the district, and as we continue to grow.
it is going to be a different scene when the students leave. You know, those hallways are going to be a little different when there are no students in that building anymore.
I'm sad that it's ending. Again, Willis has always seemed like a rite of passage. That was the first place that everybody kind of came together after they left elementary school.
I'm gonna miss the character of the building. It's pretty unique. I liked how I came into my room and I got to paint all the walls and kind of make it my own little space. And I feel like most of the newer buildings are very cookie cutter, and I don't like that. But just a lot of character, and our staff here is kind of like a family. I've grown fairly close with a lot of them over the years, so that'll be sad that we're splitting and going our separate ways.
Now, like I said, this is where I began my teaching career, so this place and the staff here has really made me the teacher that I am. And I mean, I'll never forget that. I'll carry it with me forever, and I'm very grateful.
We had a celebration of excellence, and there's parents that came in, yeah, we graduated from here and stuff like that. It's not going to be that way. Now it's going to be, yeah, we went to Delaware instead of now we went to Willis. So there could be good things about it. Just change.
It's a family. Family is just the word. And it's hard. For me, it's like leaving. You know, I've had enough goodbyes.
100% the feeling of family that the staff has here. Yeah. I know I went through a really difficult time when my mom passed away, and the way the staff came together, and it just felt like such a family, and the way everyone is there for each other in times of need is something that I don't think you can, it's just not comparable.
Yeah. It's a beautiful building, made more beautiful by the people that have come through it, and I think that's why people are so love this building in Delaware, is that it's just not bricks and mortar, it's every memory that they carry with the people that went through it. So, and at that time period, you're so young, and it's so uniquely coming through. So.
A huge piece is the architecture, the arches, the terrazzo floors, the wooden doors, the hardwood floors, all of those things that for many students they've never seen. A hardwood floor, original, the auditorium that is gorgeous, and you think about how many performances have happened on that stage. And to be able to have the old gym that we all refer to as the Hoosier Gym, and the track up above, and the memories that have been shared through the years. And I think that's why it's so important that it's still going to be part of our district. Students can come here, but as far as having the halls full of children will be the hardest change for me.
They say, wow, I'm so glad we kept this because it's Delaware.
It's kind of like your favorite blanket, you know, it's old and tattered, but it's comfortable.
Yeah.
We love Willis. I will carry Willis in my heart forever.
I think where I would start is that we were a new family, learning and growing together all of those years ago. And we didn't know each other well yet. It was my first administrative position. And through those years, we have cried together, we've laughed together, we've learned together, and we've grown together. And when you have that foundation, even though we may not be within the same walls of a building, that connection will not leave. And those connections are what make Delaware City Schools who we are as a district, but more importantly, what Willis has meant to me. I would do anything for any one of my staff members, and together we created an amazing learning environment for our students.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about Willis for us?
I was doing good. I think the most important thing is, without fail, I truly loved my students. I loved our staff. And this is where my heart will be in sharing the memories that we've had over the years. And as they grow and have new memories, I want to celebrate with them, and I want to share their successes, because I will still be part of this team. We all just are taking on different new roles.
Thank you.
Thanks, sorry, I was doing so well, so you asked me the last question.
I know there's always been concern over the years as people wondered what's going to become of Willis, and should it be kept as a school, or how will they use it if they don't use it as a school? And I think those questions have been very well answered, and that it's going to be there for a long time.